All right, welcome back inside the EQC studios and back to the top step. I've got a very special guest who made headlines, viral headlines, if you want to call. That's what the kids call them these days. Tayler Saucedo, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, I'm referring to Monday night Yankees game. You're sitting at home, and correct me if I'm wrong here. You're on Twitch, and are you playing video games, or are you just watching the game? What are you doing on Twitch at that point?
We were doing a bit of both. We had the game going, and then I was sitting there playing games in between. And yeah, I mean, things kind of got crazy in that ninth inning. I had it on to my left, and really wasn't paying attention. And then I look over to my chat to the right. I have all the chat stuff to the right, and
Yeah.
everyone's going nuts. And then I look over, and Haniger just hit the. Because I was delayed, and he just hit
Right.
his single or whatever, and I'm like, what is going on? I didn't see any of this, and then it was on from there.
So when you say in your chat, are you talking on Twitch, people who you're connected to on Twitch? Is that right?
Yeah,
All right, so listen, man, I'm old. I suck at video games, but I know Twitch is a big deal. Explain to me and hopefully some people watching this show. Well, how does Twitch work? So basically, you log in but you're a big deal, man. If people in Seattle are like, oh man, I want to watch. Is it because they know who you are, or it's just randomly? Is it your own friends, or is it public? How does that work?
yeah. I mean, it's all over. I mean, yeah. I mean, I have some friends in there. We had Tyson Miller in there yesterday chiming in, and it's just all over. It could be completely random. I just put it out there that I'm live, on Twitter or Instagram or something, and then whoever joins, they just come in and they just start talking, and yeah, it can be fun, it could be bad. I've seen both sides, but yeah, it's
Right.
cool.
What game we playing?
Yesterday was a mixture of just Fortnite and Call of Duty.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, listen, dude, I hurt my back really bad. This is back in 2012. I heard it really bad, and I played video games when I was a kid. I mean, this is back. I grew up in the 90s, so we're talking the Sega. But 2012, I hurt my back. My wife flies out to see me, and I said, "Hey, listen, go to Best Buy, go get a PlayStation, and go get Call of Duty." Because all my teammates, man, that's all they did. You go on the road, and boom, that was it. Dude, I'm not joking. I got I couldn't move because my back was so messed up. My wife and I, both of us, were doing the co-op missions, and I know all the pros. You go in and you play random people, but I wasn't good enough for that. So we just did the co-op missions. Dude, we got addicted, both of us. I mean, this is before kids and the whole bit. We sat there, and I'm like, hold on, it's 9:00 at night. I haven't eaten food all day. Dude, it's so legit, man. And if anytime I'm around them, I'm like, okay, I need someone to literally pull me off this thing. They're so much fun. But the Twitch stuff, I just I look at it because I know Blake Snell. During COVID, he was all over Twitch. He still does, man. He's here up in Seattle, and it's he'll sit up till all hours playing video games. He's got the big Twitch following. But I was just thinking that before you jumped on, I was like, how does that work? Is it just your friends, or do you open it up publicly, or playing? I mean, do a bunch of people just talk a bunch of, I can't swear on this, but a bunch of crap to you over because they know who you are, or what? People can talk to you, right?
Yeah. Normally, yeah, some people will go in there and they'll just say some stuff like I said, I've seen it on both sides, the good and the bad. But normally, I mean, for the most part, I've had pretty normal chat members. They're just want to have access to a player, or just have that communication.
That's awesome.
And so it's pretty normal so far. Yesterday was obviously one of the crazier days, and people were just saying some stuff, but that's where you have you call it the moderators, and they kind of moderate that, and they kind of eliminate the negativity. So I don't really see it, but yesterday was just more positive, so it
Nice.
was
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, how hard is it, dude? When you go down with an injury, you're on a team. How hard is it, man, sitting out? I mean, I guess you're coming back pretty soon, so it's not too bad. But for me, I've always felt like I was in the way. I felt like, oh man, I'm just I'm taking up space here, taking up room. I just want to get back. You feel like just you're not contributing at all. What's the experience been like for you with the Mariners now that you're one of the dudes on that team?
Yeah, I mean it sucks. I mean it just sucks. Like you said, you do feel like you're in the way a lot. Like especially in Minnesota, like I was just hobbling around, just like
Yeah,
I just felt worthless. And so it just sucks. Like my whole thing is like I love to be out there, and when it's taken away from me, I'm just kind of like what do I do now? And so. Um, you're just kind of trying to remain positive as much as you can, but I always tell myself I'm not the first person to get hurt, I'm not the last person to get hurt.
Right.
Other people have been in my situation way worse than me. And
Yeah.
so, like I just take it day by day. And, I love being a fan again in a way, though. Like I've kind of enjoyed that. Like obviously growing up, watched the Mariners all the time, but now since I've been with them, obviously it's been different. I've been here as a player, and then now since I've been out, I get to kind of see it from a fan point of view, and it's a little bit more nerve wracking, because you kind of feel like when you're in it, like it's not as nervous, but now watching it, it's like, oh, what can I do? You want to help out, you want to get out there, and it's just like, but it's fun.
Are you you mentioned you're obviously a Mariners fan. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But the hard thing is too, like you're going out to New York. That's a fun trip, playing against the Yankees. You know what I mean? All that part of it. I mean, you've played against the Yankees already, right? When you were with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's your first time. I get that, but every time I go out, to the East Coast or go play the Yankees, whatever, it's always super cool. So that's the other hard part. Plus, too, they're catching a train everywhere as well. Like,
I get to miss out on all this cool stuff. Like.
I know. You like how I'm just rubbing that in. By the way, it's so ridiculous, dude. Like I'm just sitting here, like I was talking to your teammate Gabe Spy the other day. I'm like, oh, dude, you guys get to go on the train. It's like everyone like kind of lights up. It's the dumbest thing ever. Like you're traveling around on like a private plane, and it's friggin' awesome. Like don't get me wrong. When I first got to the big leagues, I'm like, this is so sick. Like I was just so into it, unreal. And I was like, oh, I want to tell my friends everything. But then the whole idea about just catching a train, I don't know why that's a novelty. I have no idea, but it's just, I don't know. It's just cool. It's just cool catching a.
I've never done it. I mean, I've rode the train before. My dad actually works for Amtrak, but like, I don't know.
No way.
It seems like it would have been a little bit different, just like with the boys and everything. And so
100%.
I'm upset that I missed that one.
Yeah, and it's not like you're riding like the train that takes you to the airport. Like you're sitting there and some dude gets on with a bike and just shoves you in the corner. Yeah. It's like it's probably like a nice friggin' like super nice, obviously big league level. I don't know. It'd just be sweet. I did have one experience like that. I was with the Aussie team. We call it the bullet train in Japan. I was like with the WBC. I was like, this is awesome. I had my daughter with me and my wife, and they separated us. Like the team had to go on a what do you call it? Cabin? Not a cabin. Like a
car of like
the car. Yeah. I don't know how I'm butchering that. And they're like, oh, sorry, family have to go back here. I'm like, oh, whoops. I kind of wanted to like sit with my daughter, at least watch Mount Fuji, but whatever. Yeah. So your dad. So hold on. So your dad, he worked in. What did he do at Amtrak?
He's a conductor.
No way.
He's kind of the guy that like goes down and like checks everybody's tickets, and then like, he's talking to the engineers and everybody, and so.
Oh wow.
He does all the marking. Like I used to go to work with him when I would visit him in the summers, and like it's cool. Like we have our own little car area, and for the most part, he's just like hanging out. Like he answers stuff on the walkie-talkie and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what routes are we talking? Like he's not doing the long ones, right? Is this just stays locally?
Yeah, I mean he lives in Texas, so
okay.
Like the trips are pretty long. Like let's say he goes to Fort Worth, or like Waco. Like those are going to be like 16 hours just because they stop at all those stops, and so like it could be pretty long and tedious. But I mean like I said, it's pretty fun out there. Sometimes he'll bring the whole family. We're all just like hanging out down there, doing our own thing. I used to have my PSP. I used to jam out on that, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
No Twitch though on the PSP.
No.
What's one quick question on that? I don't want to get stuck here on talking about trains here, but here's a question for you. I live in Edmonds, right? and the freight train runs by, and I've always I even looked it up. I couldn't get an answer. Does the dudes who are driving that train or on that train, do they go the full length of, or is it sectioned off? Like, does that make sense? Like, if they're going across the country, do they stay on the train across the whole country, or what do they do?
I mean, I don't know about the whole country, but I mean, it's been the same engineers whenever I take the trip with my dad. It's the same guys going. Yeah, so
I didn't know if they're like sectioned off and like, here's the train, here's the keys, you take it now.
Yeah,
like
I'm
each
sure.
section.
I'm sure if they're going across country, yeah, I'm sure there's a limit on how long they can do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, all right, so you grew up a Mariners fan, right? So you moved from Japan, actually. Speaking of Mount Fuji, you moved from Japan to Seattle when you were 6 years old. What got you into baseball?
I mean, I started over there in Japan. Like, my parents always said, like, they knew I was gonna play sports. Like, anytime, like, one of my first words was like ball, and they just said that I just was always drawn to it. Like, it was the only thing that could like keep me quiet. Just anything, like, they'll just put a ball in my hand, and so I just started playing over there and just kind of took off. I mean, honestly though, baseball was my least favorite sport out of all the sports that I did play, but it was also the one that I was the best at. So it just kind of worked out that way.
Who are the guys you looked up to? If you're a Mariners fan, who are the players you looked up to?
Like early on, like it was John Olerud. I just loved his like.
Dude, that was my favorite player growing up. But Blue Jays, John Olerud, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that was 1993 World Series. That was my guy. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
That's awesome.
And I would say probably like Felix was definitely number one, and then Mike Cameron was up there too.
Yeah, Mike was just on the show a couple of weeks ago. So, well, there you go. Actually, no. What am I saying? It was last week he was on with me. He's the man, dude. You've obviously met Mike, and did you tell him that when you met him?
Oh yeah, because I actually funny story. My mom or my aunt, she had a boyfriend that was the bat boy at the time, and obviously he knew that I was a huge Mike Cameron fan. Well, Mike Cameron broke one of his bats, and I guess he took it, and I got it for Christmas, and I had it with me since I was like 12 years old. And when I got over here, I was like, I told my parents, I was like, can you bring down, because they live in Tucson now,
right.
And I was like, can you bring down the Mike Cameron bat? I want to see if I can get him to sign it. And my parents brought it in, and I had it with me, and like after one of the morning meetings, I brought it to him, and I was like, I've had this since I was a kid. Like, you mind signing? He was like, took it. He was like, oh my God, no way. He was like showing everybody.
No way.
He's like holding it. And he's like, this is the good wood, like right here. And yeah, he was showing everybody, and then he signed it. And so like it's back in my room now. But yeah, that was a really cool moment. I'm like, I couldn't have imagined.
Wow, man, that is cool. That is awesome. Could you imagine though? If you met him, he's like, hey, look at this bat. Like, I've had it since I was a kid. Everything he said, he's like, oh, yeah, sweet. Thanks, man. No worries. It just...
Yeah, he was just like, oh, actually, that's not my bat or something. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I've told everybody that this is authentic. Like, I was a bit nervous for that part for sure.
Yeah, I never forget.
Oh, yeah. He knew exactly. He was like, oh, yeah, this is this type of wood, like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and he like looked at the date on everything, and he was like, yeah, this is mine. Like, I was like, how did you know that?
Wow.
Like, he's like, the two dots here. I was like, cool. Awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, how about this? In 2008, I remember, actually, was it the day Felix was pitching? This is in New York. We're playing the Mets. And this is, okay, I'm going to sound old, man, but this is like Shea Stadium. And I walk out. It's like a 4-game series. So like day 1, day 2, I was in the bullpen at this time and walk like through the tunnel, like to get to the bullpen, not across the field. And we're walking, and there's this old usher, like super, like really old. And he goes, hey, do you know if Mr. Mel Stottlemyre is going to come out? Like, so Mel Stottlemyre was like, yeah, legend with like the Yankees, right? Pitching coach with the Yankees. And this is when I was like, oh, hey, like, I was all over him about, tell me about, you know, Andy Pettit and all this kind of stuff. And Mel's a really good dude, but he's very kind of reserved, right? So there's this old usher, and he's got this old paper clipping of Mel Stottlemyre back when he pitched for the Yankees and won like the World Series. And this guy's kept this. It's all brown, like it looked like some old scroll or something. And he goes, I really need to show Mr. Mel Stottlemyre this piece of paper. And Mel would like walk. This is in the tunnel. He would walk across the field. I was like, oh man, damn! Like he's walking across the field, like. You know, and so day 1, day 2, same thing. He goes, oh, is he coming? So I think like the 3rd day or the 4th day, he's walking and he's with Felix. Actually, Felix is just strutting. Felix wants to go through the tunnel, right? He doesn't want to get bothered by so Mel's walking with him, and I'm like, oh, and we're all, me and a couple of the other guys, like, oh, this is gonna be sweet because like we're walking behind going to the bullpen. This is gonna be awesome. Like he's gonna show him the article. And Mel's gonna be like, wow, thanks, just like the Mike Cameron story. And so this guy, so he's been waiting years, man, to see Mel Stottlemyre to show him. And he goes, Mr. Stottlemyre, like this, and he comes out and he shows him, he goes, I've kept this. You're my favorite pitcher, blah, blah. And Mel's just like, and again, I don't want to throw Mel under the bus here, but Mel's just like, oh, that's cool. Just get walking. Just shattered his hopes of like maybe he's going to give him a hug and say thank you. Let's get a photo. I'll take you out for dinner or something. It was just, it was crushing, dude. I'm like, just the absolute deflation happening. Anyway, so good thing that Mike Cameron's. Oh, dude. And that's why, like, anytime I want to bring up some, like, epic story about some dude I meet or, like, you know, some famous player or whatever, and I want to tell them, like, some connection story, I'm like, just don't be a douche. Like, please, like, be cool with this story. It's super important, man. So, all right, so you're a Mariners fan, and in high school, you weren't, like, because you're obviously a big dude, you're left-handed, but high school, man, it was a rough trip, right? I was reading a little bit that you weren't the dude in high school. Tell me about those days.
Yeah, I got cut my sophomore year from the team.
Why is that? Is that just because of performance or
probably performance and grades? I wasn't great in school.
Gotcha.
So just like really no place for me. And then come back my junior year, made the team, but I went 0-4. Like no, not very much success there. And then that was kind of where I was like, I really started to build like my competitive drive. Like I was just kind of doing sports because I liked it. And then like I kind of got over the fact of like just kind of getting my butt kicked all the time. And
were you like physically, were you big and were you throwing hard?
No, I wasn't big. I was just like, I was really skinny. Like I barely was like 100 pounds like my junior year. Like I was just that long, lanky, like kid. And but after my senior year is like kind of when everything started to click for me. And that I just took off from there. It was like the first time I really put like effort and time into baseball and like kind of learning my craft. And that was when I realized I was like, I'm decent at pitching. Like I think I could do something here. And so yeah, I ended up going to Tacoma Community College and so on from there.
I've just their head coach. There's a couple of Aussie kids. I'm actually probably going to sign to go there to go to that JUCO. But and then what happened? And then so what happened with at Tacoma? Right, you dropped out. You're like, it wasn't for you. What happened there?
Yeah, I think if you would ask me that question probably 10 years ago, I'd probably tell you a whole different story. But as I've gone on and matured a little bit, I've realized that like I just wasn't ready. I was very immature, and obviously grades got in the way there, and just didn't really put my full effort into it again. Like I was just falling behind on everything, and I think skill wise, like I was still very good, but like just not a very good teammate. And so I only ended up pitching like 15 innings my freshman year. And then my sophomore year is when I like dropped out. I actually quit baseball and was out of school. And I was kind of just sitting around doing nothing.
Man.
And I got a call from Tennessee Wesleyan, which they saw me at. It was called a sophomore showcase, and which is where guys who were going to be sophomores and were first team and second team last year. Or the previous year, they were invited to like this all-star kind of thing. And I wasn't on first team or second team, but I was invited anyways. And I had to sit there. It started from like 9 o'clock in the morning. and I didn't get in the game because like they do all this stuff like showcase events like just 40 times, 60 times, all this stuff like throwing all of it.
Yeah.
And so then you have the game later on in the night, and I wasn't participating in anything other than the game. They didn't announce my name. They didn't do anything. And so I remember my coach at Tennessee Wesleyan was telling me the whole story about how they were going to leave because they were like, nobody here is throwing over 85. Like, there's nothing here for us, really.
Right.
And so they were just about to leave, and they saw me warming up in the bullpen, and they were like,
"What was this? Was this in Tennessee or was this?"
No, this is with TCC. This is before. This is going in. So this is like the off season of TCC. So this is like the last thing I basically did with them before I ended up dropping out.
I see. And so basically it was a showcase for like a bunch of schools. Is that right?
Yeah, it was like basically everybody was called. So like the Tacoma Community College is called like the NWACs. So it was like everybody that's in like the NWACs who were first team or second team were invited to this.
Oh, I see. I got you.
So I started warming up, and they were like, "Do you know who this is?" And everyone's like, "No clue who this is." And they were like, "Well, we might as well stay and see. It looks like there's some potential here." And so they said they waited around, and I ended up, I think they said I was like 91, 92, which was like a high for me at that point in time. And I struck out like 4 out of 5, and they said I had like 10 Division I offers on the spot. But
no way.
My coach was like, he's not going D1, and so like you go ahead and mark him off the list, which he's probably not wrong. I didn't have the grades, but so that kind of just eliminated the schools, and then NAI, Tennessee Wesleyan came into play, and they were like, we'll take him. But they never messaged me at the time until later on, and then they called me. And I was like, I'm not playing. And they were like, perfect. We want to offer you a 65% scholarship. And that's how I ended up there.
Why'd your coach say, he's not going to D1? Was that just because, like, was he just, like...
It was just grades. It was just grades.
Okay.
I only focused on sports. And then, just didn't apply myself in school. It's, like, the one thing, like, anybody asked me is, like, really wish I could have gone back and did it, like... redo school, because I probably would make my path a lot shorter than the one that I ended up taking on. But I mean, obviously, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Made me who I am. But yeah, that's how I ended up over in Tennessee.
Were you surprised when you were drafted?
No. I mean, I always you can again like you ever talk to anybody a part of my life, like it was the one thing I was saying ever since I was a kid, like. Like I'm gonna play Major League Baseball, or I'm gonna play in the NFL, or I'm gonna do. My dreams were always to play sports professionally, and so when it happened, it was just kind of like I told you so kind of moment. But obviously, again, like coming from NAI, like I saw a bunch of guys like prior to me who were in NAI that were really good, that I thought were probably better than me and didn't get drafted, and I was like, I might not really have a chance, especially being an NAI. But obviously now in today's game, I don't get drafted. I'm an undrafted free agent. I got drafted in the 21st round. So, but when it happened, it was just more of like a finally, like I did it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's wild, man. I mean, it's so hard. Like, especially, I mean, I deal with Australian kids coming over and stuff like that. And it's obviously way different. But like, oh man, the whole, Australians tend to go to junior colleges just because they just don't get the exposure to D1, places. But at the same time, it gives you a couple of years just to mature a little bit, Because I deal with, I'm not calling you a knucklehead here, but like a couple of kids who are like 16, 17. I'm just trying to like talk to them, like, dude, you're not ready to go to a place where like you have to be a 30-year-old all of a sudden, like grown up, classes, have a schedule, the whole bit. It can be tough, man. But all right, let's fast forward a little bit. I want to get into, the fact that you're a Mariners fan. By the way, did you even know I played for the Mariners or what?
Yeah, I did.
I was curious. You said Felix. I'm sitting here going, does he even know I freaking existed on the Mariners team? I was there from 2007 to 2010. But you're bringing up names like I said, Mike Cameron. I never played with Mike, but he wasn't around when I was playing, but a little bit after that. he was the man, dude. And I got a chance to play with Felix. Dude, he was just. I played with Felix in his prime too. It was
that
awesome.
was fun to watch.
Oh yeah, it was fun, man. Oh, he was ridiculous. But all right, so the Blue Jays, you push your way through the minor leagues. You know, I've been there. It took me 6.5 years to get to the big leagues. I signed for a little bit of money and off I went. Wasn't a prospect or anything, so I get all that. But you get to the big leagues with the Blue Jays, man. In 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get called up. They put you on waivers. Then you go to the Mets, and you kind of bounce around. At this point, are you thinking to yourself, man, this is kind of it? Like, this is not going to, like, I'm not going to be a dude in a bullpen like you are now with the Mariners. Like, did you have that feeling at all?
Yeah, especially, I mean, so I got DFA'd in 2022 by Toronto, and then picked up by the Mets, and then DFA'd. So, like, when you get DFA'd twice in off season without ever really showing anything, like, that's pretty tough. Like, you look at that and you're like, and then I'm looking at my numbers in 2022 in the big leagues, and it's a 13, and it's like I was lucky enough to be picked up by the Mets again. What I felt like, you know, especially coming off of injuries and then not a good performance in the big leagues, and like I remember getting DFA'd by the Mets and just sitting there and like kind of just looking up like maybe I'm not cut out for it, but like in the back of my mind, like I still felt like I just need to sharpen some things up, and I feel like I can really do this. Like I just was also really defeated of being like I finally got to the big leagues, and then like I fell short of it, and it's like now I'm gonna have to go and prove myself again, and like to a whole nother org that doesn't know me, and it's like it's just I've seen it from the other side of like other guys who have been in this position before, like older guys and like AAA, they've been DFA'd, you know, many of times, and you know, they're just bouncing around, and I'm like, I didn't want to be that guy. Like, I wanted to have a home somewhere, and it's like, if somebody can just give me that opportunity, I just felt like I was going to succeed. And funny enough, like, when I did get DFA'd by the Mets, the first thing that I did, I got off the phone, and I was sitting there, and I was like, well, I went and looked at the Mariners roster. I was like, do they need any lefties? Because, you know, that was coming off the playoffs, and like they didn't have, like, obviously they threw Robbie Ray at that point in time, and I'm like, feel like they could. And I looked at their roster, and they had some guys on there, and all their numbers were pretty good. So I was like, they're probably set. They're younger. I'm gonna be 30. Like, there's no reason they would take me. And then when I got the phone call from the Mets, and they told me I was claimed, I didn't hear anything that they said to me after that. They're just like, hey, you're a Seattle Mariner. And I was like, my initial reaction was like, what? Like, I got claimed again? Like, I went and looked at that happened. Like, I got claimed by them. Like, I was like, unbelievable. I went, my stepdad was in a meeting, and I just bursted through his door because he works from home, and I burst through his door. I was like, I'm a Seattle Mariner. And he was like, what? Like, it was a really cool moment. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't fun going through that process, obviously.
Oh, no. Now, before Mariner days, right, before you roll into camp with them, you mentioned you had to sharpen some things up. If you can go back to what you thought you had to get sharpened up back then, it's obviously different now looking back because you've been around different people and you figured some stuff out. But going back to them, what did you need to sharpen up? What do you mean by that?
So when I was with the Blue Jays, like, their main focus was velo. Like, they wanted velo.
Yeah.
And so I was just doing things that just wasn't really me. Like, I was throwing from way over the top. Like, my sinker really wasn't that good, and like I didn't really have a changeup. And you know, I didn't throw my curveball very much or my slider. Like, it was just kind of like it was just very vanilla when you look at things, like, especially analytically. And I remember sitting there in the offseason.
Very Rowland-Smith by the sounds of it. I'm just joking. Sorry, keep going.
I remember just sitting there, and I'm like, what makes me good? Like, and I'm funky. Like, I've always thrown from a low quarter slot. I'm not this guy. Like, I understand what the Blue Jays are looking for, you know, especially for like extension, all that stuff. Like, I got it, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I need to go back and look analytically of like, can I get better with my sinker? Um, I need to find a change up if I'm gonna try and neutralize righties. Like the slider's just not gonna cut it. Like the
Right.
curveball is more of a get me over early in. Like so it's just like really went and just enhanced everything and went back to what makes me really good and just being weird and funky. And
Yeah.
that was the one thing that I was drawn to with the Mariners when I got here. There wasn't a conversation of like, we need you to throw harder, we need more, horizontal or vert on these pitches. Like there was nothing. They just said, hey, you already have a good frame. Now just use it and throw it over the box. Like just throw it in the box. That's all you need to do, and the rest will take care of itself. He's like, just go out there and do your thing. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Who said that to you? Who was saying those words to you?
It was Woody. It was Pete Woodworth. And,
Okay, man. What is it with him, man? Like, I mean, we're talking, I'm talking like going back to Steckenrider, Seawald, Topa, you, Gabe Spire, list goes on. Like, what is it that the Mariners do when you? I mean, I'm sitting here going, man, like, I like to crap on my career all the time, but like, sometimes I think, if I had some of these voices, I had the most random advice, like, oh, you need to do this, like, really, like, you're just coming up with something just because you got to. But what is it about, like, whether it be Woody or whoever it is, and when you get to put on a Mariners uniform, right, here you are, like, that's your team, man. Like, you're all fired up because it's your home, it's your team you grew up watching. But like, regardless of that, when you go into be a Seattle Mariner, like, it's just simply put, just it can't just be that simple. Like, just be yourself. Right? What is it? Like, how does this work?
It really is that simple, and I think a lot of the guys too, that when you get there, like especially for me, is like I remember eating lunch and sitting there with Paul Sewald, like after the day was done, and like we haven't really had a conversation up to that point. And we were just chatting, and like he was kind of telling me like his career, my career, like we were just going back and forth. And he was like, "Have you had your meeting yet?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "It's gonna be a good one." Like he's like, everything that they say in there, like there's a reason why they're saying it to you. Like it's not just gonna be like, "Hey, cookie cutter, like you need to do this. Everybody else is doing this." It's like they brought you in here because there's something that makes you really good, and they're going to tell you to utilize that. And I would just listen to them. He goes, it changed my career. For me, like Paul, he was like, for me, they were just wanting me to, upshoot, fastballs up in the zone, slider. Like, it was simple. Like, I wasn't trying, like, prior to coming here, I was trying to dot, like, go corners, like, like now it's just throw your best stuff, top of the zone, then slider, let that figure it out. And when I went into that meeting with them, they showed me all these numbers, like, what guys are getting, like the average on, 1-0 counts, 2-0 counts, 3-0 counts, 1-1, 1-2, and when you're looking at it from like these like grand scheme of things, instead of just being like, oh, I gave up a homer on this pitch, like no, they're like, you gave up a homer on this pitch, and it only happened one time out of the 75 other times you've thrown it. Like don't ever go away from that.
Right.
For me, it's like, and there was other things they were like talking about my sinker and four seam, and they were like, your batting average against your four seam is this, like, why don't you throw your four seam more? Like, and they just kind of opened up a whole new playbook for me of like, where like I thought I had to be certain way with certain hitters, but they were just like, you need to just be this all the time with everybody, and you're going to be more than fine. And I was like, okay. And they asked me, it was like an hour-long meeting, and they asked me at the end, they're like, have you ever had a meeting like this? I was like, never. And I just rode with it after that. And I remember when Trent got here last year as well, he went and had his meeting, and he walked out of there, he's like, dude, I've never had a meeting like that. I was like, dude, I said the same thing. Like, it's insane. He's like, how long were we with the Blue Jays, and not once did they ever relay any information like this whatsoever. And like, you just always see guys who have come into this org, and they're just like, dude, this place is awesome. Like, all the information they're giving us, like, they don't try and change you from any certain way. Like, you're here because you're already good at what you do. We don't need to change you. We just need to be able to enhance it in some way. And it was just, it's really fun to watch. And it's not a shocker that they get all these guys who are trying to find their way in this league. And then you come in there and they're like, why is this guy so good? What is he doing differently? And it's nothing. They're just taking the best of him and finally utilizing it and not making him change. So it's really fun to watch.
It's amazing too. Like hearing you say that, and again, look, I'm not. I'm accountable for my career. Like I sucked because I sucked, right? I'm not sitting here going, oh, well, this pitching coach told me to do this or whatever. There's no way I'll ever do that. But like, just when you're going into a meeting like that and saying, oh, hey, look, you're really good, even though you've been put on waivers a couple times and someone's told you this or you've read this about yourself, but you're really good when you do this. And here's why. Look at this. I mean, you must walk out of there thinking, oh, okay, like I don't have to design a new pitch. You good? You good?
Yeah, I lost you there for a second. Yeah, you see me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, you know, you don't leave that meeting saying, oh, now I have to design this new breaking ball or do this, or hey, you just walk out and go, oh man, because maybe that may not work. I don't know. Like, am I capable of doing that? Am I going to do that at the highest level now? Am I going to do that in front of like the best hitters, even if it is in AAA and try and get back to the big leagues? You walk out there and say, all right, well, man, this is actually really good. I gave up a homer once in 75 times. God, man, that's like I'm jealous, dude.
Yeah, I'm super thankful because like again, like you hear all these things about different orgs, and like the one thing that you always heard about the Mariners, like they care about the person. They're not just gonna, send you out there because you're just another body, like, and then DFA you and send you like. They brought you in here because they want you to be a part of this, and like again, like that all goes into play of like you're like, oh, I could have a place here, like if I just do what I need to do, and so it's just I think it motivates guys a little bit more. Like like said you had Gabe on here, I'm sure he's talked about it. Like they told him his stuff was really good, and they're just like all you need to do is get to 0-1, and after you're 0-1, like you're gonna be unhittable, and like you saw that last year where he set the record. And so it's just super motivating to see that, and then obviously be a part of it and do it.
Who are your buddies in the bullpen? Like who are the guys you're going out for dinner with on the road or talking to, sitting next to in the bullpen?
Honestly, I've been going out. I mean, I hang out with Gabe all the time. We hang out after every game and we play video games. Nothing shocker there, but like,
is he on Twitch as well?
No, he's not. He's not a Twitch guy, but he's a gamer though. He's a true gamer.
Right.
Gotcha. No, but
so hang on. Let me ask you this. So if you're on Twitch and you're playing against him playing video games, no one can see his screen. Is that right, or he's just incognito?
They would be able to hear him through me, but they won't. They don't see him at all.
Gotcha. I see. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Sorry, I had to get that clear. Sorry.
But no, yeah. I usually go out with like him and Stanek. We usually are always trying to get dinner somewhere when we can, or like coffee or something. So yeah, I would say probably those two.
Stanek's he's awesome, dude. He was on a couple of weeks ago on the show. He was so good. Have you someone like Stanek? Is there someone who like you've like a bullpen guy that you've learned a lot from, who's like been in a tough spot or playoffs and stuff like that, kind of a couple of years above you that you've like that said some stuff pretty impactful, especially last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that guy was kind of Paul for us last year.
Right.
He kind of always set the tone, but also could keep it relaxed. And, he set a really good example of how to go about it in the bullpen.
Right.
And then this year, I would say it's probably Stanek for sure. Obviously, he's done it.
Gotcha.
He's won it before. Yeah. He's won the whole thing, and he's a really good guy to lean on for information. He's really smart, and it's just really funny because whenever I watch him from the other side, I'm like, I just don't like that guy. Like everything.
I said the same thing.
Like I just was like, that guy's got to be just a douche. I don't know if I can say that on here. But
no, you're fine. You're good.
Like he's got to be. And then I meet him, and he's just like this like nicest dude from Kansas, and he's just like, I'm like, you're not what I expected at all. but I want to be
Oh
friendly.
man.
So, yeah, it was. He
Dude,
was awesome.
I said the same thing, and then like, yeah, I hear him talk. I didn't see him meet him in spring training, but like I heard him talk. I was like, oh, he's actually pretty cool. Isn't that amazing, dude? Oh man! And then on the flip side, there's well, not saying there's some guys who you think, well, there is. I've had some teammates, man, that I thought were cool, and they're just like, oh, this person's the worst. And you can't say that now because you're still playing. I can, because I'm done playing. I can throw people under the bus, but it makes such a difference, dude. Like when someone's actually really cool. I mean, that goes back to that Mike Cameron story you were telling. But okay, here I'm gonna. This is what we're gonna do. A couple of things before I let you out of here because I've kept you too long here, but. I want to do just this rapid fire questions, right? So the first thing that comes to mind, we're going to do that. And then on top of that, I'm going to give you this. We're going to do the How to Speak Australian here in just a second. We're going to do that. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to make it tough on you too. I've got a couple of words, but I think I'm going with this one. I do have an all Australian episode coming up with Grant Balfour, Peter Moylan, Liam Hendricks, and yeah. Man, that's like next level, dude. Like, there's no way you can hang with some of the stuff we're doing on that. But all right, here we go. So I'm going to give you these questions, and just the first thing that boom comes to mind. If you want to elaborate, that's fine. But don't be like, I don't know, maybe this one. Just straight through it. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We've already talked about this, but you can give me this one. All right. Favorite player growing up?
Felix.
Okay. Toughest dude you've ever faced?
Otani.
Okay. My favorite memory as a baseball player.
Favorite memory? Probably my debut. Brett Gardner. Getting Brett Gardner out.
What happened? Say that again. Brett
I was
Gardner,
just saying,
what?
facing Brett Gardner, like,
Right.
growing up watching him, I'm like, I gotta go get this guy out now. Like, what the?
Was that in Toronto? Or was that in
Toronto?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, worst baseball memory.
Worst baseball memory. Probably. Well, there's two. Can I do two?
Yeah.
Probably the time where I played Cleveland in Toronto. I got optioned, and then I made my way back to Philly because they were in Lehigh, and then I got called back because somebody got injured. So I arrived at 3 a.m, and then I got a call at 7 a.m. that I needed to go back. I ended up pitching that day, didn't register an out, ended up giving up 5, and then got pulled. We still won the game, and I guess it's like a record, or like I'm up there with one of the guys who have not registered out and gave up like 4+ runs and still won the game. And then that happened again last year against Houston. So I would say those are probably one of my most miserable days.
Well, the one in Houston, so that I was there in Houston. I was doing color on that game, and I remember you had to come in for an injury, right?
Yeah, Emerson got hurt, and we were having a great time in the bullpen, and we were just chilling and like laughing, and all of a sudden like phone rings. And I remember I look over, I'm like, why is the phone ringing? Why is the phone ringing? It's the 3rd inning. Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it was like, get going, and yeah, it was a disaster.
I no joke. I said at that time, and I'm not that I knew you or anything like that, but I was the look on your face was like, really, I'm pitching right now. It's the worst, dude. Coming in for an injury. I don't think I've ever done well after that. And I'm like, I remember sitting there because we have to fill time, and I'm sitting there going, oh, dude, like whatever you do, because you feel like you have to hurry up. You feel like everyone, like 40,000 people are waiting for you to hurry the hell up and get going. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, just take your time, man. This is the worst. Because your body language is saying, like, exactly what you said. You're having a blast down at the bullpen, hanging out, and then boom, why is the phone ringing? That's the worst. All right. Okay, well, I'm glad I was there for that. I thought you were going to say this podcast. All right. Okay, most famous person you've ever met?
Most famous person I met? Chris Stapleton.
Okay. All right, Chris Stapleton. All right. Favorite road city?
Boston.
Why is that?
I don't know. Something about the city I've always just really liked. Every time I go there, I'm just like in the best mood. No idea.
Yeah, fair enough. Nice. Hey, by the way, Chris Stapleton, we may as well because we're breaking this up. Where'd you meet him at?
He came to the clubhouse last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice one. Okay. All right. Best buddy on the team?
Gabe.
Okay. where would you be if you could visit any place in the world? Where would you go? Sorry, where would you go if you could visit any place in the world?
Greece.
Greece. Why is that?
I don't know. It just always looks beautiful. I've never been, but like it just looks beautiful. Like I just want to sit out there on that water and like just do nothing, and it just looks.
Are you
really
talking?
Cool.
Are you talking like the white? Are you talking like the white? Built like the whatever they're called.
Yeah.
This is pathetic, dude. I've been to Greece before, and my parents actually had a place in Greece. Like they bought this little shack on this hill that they'd go to. It cost like 20 grand or 30 grand. My mom's going to kill me now if I say this. But they just bought this place and they fly into Athens, drive up the coast. She's going to kill me again. But it's just like this little beach village, and no one lives there in the winter, and they just go there in summer. It's pretty sweet.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, Greece it's pretty legit. All right, sorry, I just lost my page here. What would you be doing if you weren't playing baseball?
I don't know. I'd probably try and do golf or like try this streaming thing out.
Fair enough. Yeah. Right.
I mean, baseball is kind of the only thing I've ever imagined doing. So like, there was no plan B, so I haven't really thought about it. But I would say maybe those two things, even though I suck at golf.
Hey, you have no idea, man. So I do some coaching, and especially kids in Australia, and I've got parents all the time saying, "Oh, look, he really likes baseball, but he said he's like, we're talking a 13-year-old, but he really wants to be a gamer, or he wants to be I'm like, oh man, and it's like it must look to them like it's so easy. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, you have to be really good at the game first, right? Then you got to be entertaining. Is that how it works?
Either had to be one of the two. You either have to be elite at gaming, or you got to at least bring some entertainment value. So
where are you on that? So where are you? Are you more of the entertainment value or elite gaming?
I'm like your potential to be good at the game. Like every now and then I show flashes. So I think I lean more towards the entertainment value. But yeah. But
then there's viral videos of you blasting off on Monday nights for when they beat the Yankees. Okay, all right. So let's move on. We've got Tayler Saucedo with us. We've got the How to Speak Australian segment brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi in Ballard. Have you ever been to the Kangaroo and Kiwi?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Nice. Aussie pub. That's what.
I've also been to Australia.
Really?
Yeah, I played there in Australia. I played for Canberra Cavalry.
Dude, did you play in the ABL? I had no idea you played in the ABL.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I had no
idea. We
idea.
actually went to the championship that year, and we lost to Brisbane. And when they won like 3 or 4 in a row that year, which their field.
What year was this?
2017 or 28. I think it was 2017 or 2018. I can't remember.
No, it must have been 2018 because I played for Brisbane for a month in 2017.
Okay, yeah. So then it was one of those two. But yeah, I played in Canberra. We went to the championship that year. We lost. I think Brisbane's field should be vetoed out. And it's like fences are like 300 all the way around. You hit a pop up, it's gone.
It's a bandbox, dude. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, dude, I had no idea, man, that you played in the ABL. I can't believe it. Well, you're going to get this easy then. What am I thinking? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to put you to the test. Tayler Saucedo, you've been to Australia. You played there. How long were you in Australia for?
3 months.
3 months. Oh man, you're going to get this easy. All right. The How to Speak Australian word brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi is chock-a-block. What does chock-a-block mean?
Never. I don't know. That one, I didn't hear that one when I was there.
Well, by the way, I've got a couple options here, and I went for like the extreme one. I went for the black run here because it's a tough one. Chock-a-block. I'll give you a sentence. See if you can answer this one. All right.
Okay.
All right. We're playing the. I'm going to give you a good sentence here. We're playing the Bandits. Man, good crowd. It was chock-a-block.
I have no. I can't even. I don't even know. It sounds like you're trying to chuck a block. Like you're gonna chuck a block.
No, it means full. Like it's full. Like the parking lot is chock-a-block, right? It's full. That's what it means.
Oh my god! Not even close.
I'm glad I went with that one. So I've just given the answer, but if you do want to give your interpretation of chock-a-block, go to put hashtag TTSmate over at Twitter or on Instagram or in the comments in YouTube, and you can play along. But that's brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi, the one and only Australian pub. And I can't believe Tayler Saucedo. You were there for 3 months, no chock-a-blocks, not in Canberra?
Not one time did I ever hear somebody say that.
God, what kind of teammates are we talking?
I was called a bogan. Didn't love that.
A bogan.
I found out what that was, so I didn't love that.
That's my nickname on the radio and on 710. You've jumped on with Wyman and Bob. They call me. They say we're good to have Bogan joining us. That's my nickname on the radio, dude. There you go, the Bogan.
Awesome.
Yes, you've definitely been to Australia. Chock-a-block, by the way, is Grant Balfour. Do you know who Grant Balfour is?
Oh yeah, Balfour Rage.
Oh yeah, that's his favorite word, man. He says chock-a-block literally every other sentence. He loves it. So Tayler, listen, man, this has been so much fun. I don't want to keep you too long, even though you do have some spare time, but not for long. I am excited to see you back, man. Your story is awesome. When you burst on the scene last year, you were killing it. You're going to keep killing it. It's good to have you in a Mariners uniform, and I appreciate your time, man. Hopefully you can come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.